everyone, Brian Beeler with Storage Review. On this podcast, yes, you can see we're doing it in the lab. We've tried to make it quiet, but being here felt right today because we're talking about this, the Homelab 15, and other things from 45Drives. I've got Doug Milburn from 45Drives who's joining us, and Doug will get us up to speed on everything about 45Drives, everything about the HL15 Homelab server. And as usual, we're streaming this live on our Discord. So if you want to participate in this podcast and put your questions in and have me ask those of Doug or any of our guests, be sure you're in our Discord. Discord.gg/storage review is how you do that. Get in there. We've got about 3,000 strong of fellow geeks and nerds that are talking 24/7, mostly about technology, but all sorts of other things. Lest I blabber on for more, Doug, thanks for joining me. How are you doing today?
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. I am doing well here in the late afternoon in Nova Scotia in November. So
you must have snow in Nova Scotia?
Nah, we're a pretty mild climate where snow is probably not going to come. Lucky to have it at Christmas.
Oh, so. Really? That's not so bad then. I think everyone, no, not everyone. I think me, as an American in Cincinnati, just pictures anything north of about Columbus as snow territory. We don't get much in the Ohio River Valley.
Yeah, we're actually way east is what we are. And people, you look at the maps, they've squeezed East Coast, north, south. We're way east. So, yeah, we get a lot of precipitation in the winter, and sometimes we're buried in snow. And then the next week we had a big rainstorm and it'll all melt.
Well, it seems an unlikely place to build a storage company. How did that come about? Actually, give us a little bit of perspective on who you are and how you got into this in the first place as well.
Sure. Why are we here? I born and grew up here. That's the roots. I'm a geek by birth, and liked all things electronic, computer, mechanical, whatever else. Went off and studied physics for a couple degrees, then did a PhD in mechanical engineering. Very experimental. Learned electronics, digital electronics, analog electronics. Played with computers, loved tying computers to things. Along the way, a bunch of other things, I ended up when I became an entrepreneur. I set up all our networks and everything else as part of entrepreneuring. So that's kind of it. Got out of grad school, started my first company, and decided to move back to this part of the world. And, it's one of the really interesting, it's what I love about technology is, and with internet, we're talking in video here, and you're in the Ohio Valley, I'm in Nova Scotia, and we can live where we want to live, right? And it's really, really cool and do what we want to do. So
now more than ever. Yeah, I mean, when you made that decision, though, you were a bit of an early pioneer on not exactly work from home, but make everyone work from where you wanted to be. I mean, that's.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Nova Scotia is an interesting place. Nova Scotia had 9 universities, a couple of them amalgamated, and there's about 1 million people in Nova Scotia. Really, really highly educated population here. And so, yeah, we have all kinds of people. And in fact, I'm an old steel and coal country, and it's all coal mine steel plant here when I was growing up. So, people with technology either, got to work on that, or you worked in the university, or you moved, right, in the old days. So it was it's good. It's, a lot of pent up demand for people who want to live in this part of the world. And people like the outdoors, seacoast sailing. We got a couple ski hills around here in the winter time, and all the hiking and, and outdoor stuff if you ever wanted, surfing. So if you like that kind of stuff, great place to live.
All right.
If you like office towers, not so much. So.
Well, we'll have to come visit you. That seems, it seems like a little bit more outdoorsy version of Cincinnati, so we're not so different in that regard. So are
Absolutely.
you? I mean, you're talking about the technology, but you're also a metal bender, right? I mean, to put it in the simplest terms possible. I mean, how'd you figure that part of the business out too?
Sure. Let me. So yeah, PhD research. Postdoc. I went to a place called University of Waterloo in Ontario, my grad school, and. Entrepreneurial, I started a company that's still doing great. It's its leader in its field, natural lighting, light diffusing glass. Another long story. In trying to do all my research, I was just stuck. When you're doing things, it's one thing if you're just in the electronic world. But as soon as you step even seriously into that world, or you move into where I was, materials research, building manufacturing equipment, stuff like that, you need metal things. And yeah, they're kind of just dumb, pieces of sheet metal or machine parts or whatever else. I'm being facetious about that. There's a lot to it. And I struggled in the work we were doing. So we started a company called Protocase, my business partner and I, who went through, similar challenges. And it's become, Protocase become the name if you want electronic enclosure sheet metal parts, if you're a scientist or engineer, and now machine parts. And we built that. It just kept on growing. And, we anybody who's anybody in technology who builds electronics or, builds technology things, it's so broad, aerospace, private space, every level of innovation, we become the name for it. In building these companies, we had this real strong research background. And you think about bend and metal, and it's like to do what we do, small jobs for science and engineering. It's about moving information. Like the metal bending, straightforward. You got to invest lots of money, buy fancy machinery, but it's straightforward. But to do small jobs, it's about being able to take in designs from people. And we reach back. We actually developed our own 3D CAD software. It's called Protocase Designer, built from the ground up, whole server background, fully electronic. We'll go from a scientist's brain in through our CAD system and all the way out to machinery and FedEx, completely electronically. That's all built from the ground up over the last 20 years and gives us an enormous competitive advantage. So we built up this, we're really hidden inside that metal company is a technology powerhouse. Leads absolutely leading in it. And along the way, the story, there's a company called Backblaze, which lots of the audience might know them as a pioneer, backup, and now the word now that people recognize what cloud storage provider is. One of the leaders in that. And we got involved with Backblaze as they tried to reinvent and rethink storage servers to take them down from enterprise. When I say down from enterprise, they wanted up the capacity, and for their thing, it's a cold storage business largely, and so speed wasn't an issue, and they were way ahead in clustering, to do what they do, and anyway, we got involved with them and started they worked through the whole form factor that they built their business on. Along the way, some other companies came to us. One of them was Netflix, and we had a chat with Netflix about building computers for them. Never went there, but they shared their electrical architecture with us, and they're different from Backblaze because speed became very important to them. Streaming, if I remember correctly. At the time they're talking about 1,000 to 2,000 video streams coming out of one box, and it's a lot of data, and so we're all ears and very open about their architecture. We had a couple other communications companies to work with. We talked about that electrical architecture. We ended up, so the whole basis is Storinator, and now it's Homelab's optimized. Offspring, the HL15, it was all about taking that form factor, evolving it, making it really, really convenient for server room people, toolless, simple, robust, built to maintain and live forever, along with an electrical architecture. That our philosophy is everything we design has a straight lane from each storage device through to the PCI bus. And into the CPU, and then some good wide lanes coming out of there. So that basically the machines are designed to be able to operate all the storage devices in parallel to get some incredible data rates. And with that comes reliability in a strange way that the rest of the high density server world has been built around multiplexing to save costs. And the minute you multiplex, two things happen, you multiplex. Number one, you slow your speed down, which is not necessarily for a lot of things. You still, big boxes with enough parallelism, still pretty fast. But you end up, there's another driver layer you have to go through, which was when we dealt with early on with people dealing with Backblaze servers, trying to adapt them to multiple purpose, just tripping over the drivers. So, we developed our evolved that direct wired architecture that we call it. Now everything we do is based on that. Ultra simple, ultra fast, build, big, strong, fast. So that's who we are. That's the basis of who we are technically, anyway.
All right. Well, Doug, you covered about 37 points I want to get back into and touch on. But for anyone that wants to get up on the HL15, or maybe if you're listening to the audio only on your favorite podcast player, do go check out our video on YouTube. We've done an initial unboxing and a rig up of this thing, and of course, the fun part, depending on your perspective of fun, is that my guys Jordan and Kevin turned this into something I don't think it was necessarily intended to be. So check out that video. It's fun, and you'll see my exasperation at why they've put 3 SSDs, a GPU, and then swapped out the CPU in this thing. Oh, and then got this rig from Noctua to put in there. I don't know what they're doing. Sometimes I just quit asking questions and just let it wash over me. So that's one thing. Check out the YouTube for a video on the HL15. Tells you everything you need to know to get started there. Second thing, when you go back to Backblaze as where I guess this concept around big storage servers started, you sort of casually said they were a cloud provider or an archive offsite data services provider, or however they pitched it back then. But at that time, the cloud world was still pretty nascent, right? And you had the big guys. AWS was out there with their cheap and deep and slow sort of Iron Mountain alternative for getting offsite copies out there, and there were other things there. But if you look at the traditional infrastructure space, hard drive density wasn't necessarily a big focus. Now, there for sure were boxes from Supermicro and a bunch of the other OEMs and ODMs, but maybe not, as you said, with the simplicity and cost profile, with also an eye towards performance that you went after with that first Storinator. Is that a fair characterization?
Oh yeah, absolutely. What's been happening since we've started, since eternity, the tech world evolves, right? And what we're seeing is just a massive growth in the amount of data that our world produces now. And we're seeing people evolve, companies evolve. We see more AI, for example, and you talk about AI and you want to learn on a mega data set. Well, now you got to be able to read out of it quickly. You got to be able to fill the darn thing, and you got to be able to read out of it at a speed that works. So there's I think if you go back 15 years and you look at it, data sets were very much smaller. So the demand for very large storage was significantly smaller. And I think, what people did, you just look at video now, and, we just see, we do a lot of work with people who do video, various stuff with video post-production, or everything from that to surveillance to whatever. And you look at that, and it's like 4K is just ordinary now, and we got lots of people, anybody professional shooting 8K. Man, that is a lot of data to lift around. And, you want to move it from your server to somewhere else, you better have a lot of cups of coffee around, because it'll take you a long time unless your infrastructure has some, horsepower that you can, push that data up to speed, right? So that's what's changed on it. And that's we've been very much in the forefront of that.
So when you think about the core 45Drives business, then where you are today, what's today's goal? How is it different than back in the early days of figuring out these storage solutions for cloud providers? What's the focus today for that business?
Yeah, so I have to say focuses. I wish we had one. Life would be easier, but we follow where our customers are, and I'll tell you our main. And we'll leave aside our Homelabs world that we're in. We earn our living largely off of, vastly off of enterprise, and the word enterprise is broad generalization. Some of the areas that we work in, government. Strangely, governments produce a lot of data for some reason. I don't know, for better or for worse, but we. Especially at federal government level, we deal with federal government, everything from law enforcement to scientific agencies to military services, et cetera. We do a lot of work with them, and a lot of that, and it ranges from our high density standalone servers. And a lot of clustering on that, a lot of data sets that go larger than that, and the whole thing of clustering, getting into high availability, being able to survive a server outage and still keep running. So that's an important area of ours. Another one, research. Universities and research lab. Well, there's a crossover in the federal government there in research. We do a lot of research stuff. Really, really interesting projects. I'm just thinking, University of California, San Diego wildfire project is one that just popped out the other day. We were talking about them. I don't think they mind us talking about them. They have a very no, yeah, well, exactly. No, I know they're. I don't think there's any big secrets there. They got a wildfire project where they use basically video cameras, huge array of video cameras to do fire observation and be able to spot wildfires. Yeah. And artificial intelligence. And algorithms and just massive data sets, like huge flow of video in, and then processing it, and it's tens and tens of petabytes. So we do that high-end clustering thing. It's a real area of expertise for us, doing open source clustering. We have another area that's really interesting to me that's really developed, and it's small and medium municipalities. Okay. They have a huge data problem. They have all their general data, which bloats everywhere. They got taxpayer databases and GIS data, et cetera, et cetera. But it also takes in education, which is having data bloat. And the other one, police departments, interestingly. So forensic data, you go to a crime scene, there is ultra high res video everywhere, large photos and forensic data off computers. And on top of that, they got body cams and car dash cams. And they have a massive data problem, and they developed something we call Server Zoo, which so many organizations have. You bought an old, good old Dell back in 2015, and it's still chugging away, but it's a little small. You bought another one, and it's an HP Enterprise. You bought another one from somebody else, bought another one from somebody else, and your data is here and there and everywhere. And if any one of those standalone servers goes down, and in that municipality case, the DA's got to go to court to prosecute serious crime, and they can't get their brief printed out off the storage server. You got an emergency. Yeah. So what we do with them, they are adopting storage clustering, which is really fascinating because, I mean, before it was a little too exotic for them. We do we internally call it niche clustering for everyone, and we create clusters that really work in every which way for them. And all of a sudden, they got one piece of storage infrastructure that's infinitely elastic. Software spaces designed or shares designed, set up in software, so that you just want to expand. Good, plug in more hard drives. Add another server. Server goes down, no big deal. I'm going fishing in the weekend. I'll fix it on Monday. So those are some of our areas that we do. There's a number of other ones, but those are that's probably 60% of our business right there.
Well, when you're thinking about the underlying hardware, obviously the company's name's 45Drives. Everyone knows that, or at least our audience knows that initial Storinator product. But are you looking at? I mean, obviously you've got flash solutions now that are a little bit different. You're looking at higher capacity servers. Do you care, or do you need some 100+ bay super dense thing? And then on the other end, you were talking about some of the edge work, be it around forest fires or any of the hundreds of other use cases. Are you looking at anything in the enterprise portfolio that would be smaller and ruggeder for these edge use cases? Or are those two sides of the 45 middle interesting to you?
Well, you know what? We really cover 15 drives up to 60. We've looked at higher density. You can get into the whole JBOD world. If you want slow, ultra large, JBOD is way out in that slow end of it. And when you want fast, if you look at, we don't have a hard number for it. I've always wanted us to do a little bit of math on it, and around CPU power per terabyte per storage device or per capacity. there's a whole issue of density of storage versus density of CPU and PCI lane. And we think we're in 60. We think we're somewhere in the top of that. When you get past that, you get into cold storage. And because of our pricing is, we have a lot of enterprise that they like the reliability, like our stuff for cold storage for that. But it's there's other stuff in cold storage you can get to. Okay. So we right now we're not going there. Low end, getting down to 4 drives. Right? And on performance. Moving to flash, we have a Storinator Flash 32 drive unit, which is out now and doing very, very well for us. It's a SATA SAS machine. And we have actually our last component we need to manufacture it. We sort of pre-released it a few months back, but it's a 32 drive NVMe.
Here we go.
It's actually it's the first tri-mode machine out there with the new UBM standard. And, we built a card, been working on that tri-mode card for quite a while. So you can plug in SAS, hot swap SAS, and NVMEs in it. And it will do 16 million IOPS and I think they're 32 gigabytes per second transfer speed. So it's a beast, though.
Yeah.
Going to be cool.
When you have that, you need to get one over here. We've got all those big fat Solidigm QLC drives we'd love to throw in there and fill that thing with the 30 terabyte, or maybe we can get the 60s by then in big quantities. It's absolutely amazing what the SSD guys are doing in flash capacity right now. Really impressive. And it's not all that expensive. Obviously, it's more than a 20 or 25 terabyte hard drive, but you were talking a little bit about software. If we get into some more advanced software that can do compression, deduplication, and if you start putting enough gear in here in terms of CPU and DRAM, it gets pretty interesting in terms of what you can do to extend the life or the effective capacity of those drives. Now, it's not for every workload. Obviously backups, probably not the right use case, media entertainment, anything uncompressible, but there's plenty of other use cases where that capacity is really great and you can stretch it. Okay, so I know we've talked a lot about 45 drives and how we got here, and I think that's sort of foundational for how we got here. And for anyone on the audio, I'm gesturing at our HL15 sitting on the desk next to me. I don't know if you saw our video, but our team was pretty enamored by it, and they don't get excited about much, really, from a hardware perspective. And I don't mean to be disrespectful in any way, but I've got hundreds of servers in this lab and downstairs. We've seen it all, touched it all. They really loved the build quality of this system, all the way down to just little things on soft edges and powder-coated interior and lots of little things. But before we get into all of that, how did you conceive of the HL15, and what sort of conversations or market research did you do to determine that, for your first launch anyway, that this was the config you wanted to go with?
Can I duck your question for 1 second?
Sure.
And when you talked about your video, and I loved it, it was incredibly flattering, so obviously I loved it for that reason. But first thing I did when I heard it, so we manufacture in North America, right? And not that common, and all the physical side of it's done in North America. In fact, our new NVMe boards, North American made, and whatever else. So big believer in that. Anyway, our people who actually make the metal and our people who assemble, and we saw that and loved the fact, you pick things up, edges, but buy anything today, go buy a new barbecue at Home Depot or wherever you get it, and you risk cutting your hands. It's funny, we our crew that manufactures, we spend a lot of time with them, industrialism, incredibly efficient way to make things. In the old craft days, people knew their customer and they got this satisfaction when they did their work, and their customers, they'd be in touch with them and somebody'd say, thank you. You work in the restaurant industry. Somebody says, thank you, that's great. Thanks for the coffee you poured me at the coffee shop or whatever else. Mm-hmm. They don't get that, right? And these people, we've been working, we always work, and we say to everybody, if you're working at the deburr station and parts come through, you're not there to shove it in a machine, taking it out and just take it out. We get robots to do that. We get humans to do it because they use their brain and go up a level. and say, no, I'm here to make that part, that rough piece of metal, into something good that's going to go to somebody like yourselves at the end of the day. You guys pointed that out. We took that, we cut up a little bit of your video, took it over to all our production ships and showed them that and said, guys, am I ever proud of you guys? You know what? This is what you guys do for other human beings. So, and they appreciated it. So thank you very much for that.
Well, it's like a legit thing though. And especially when you choose white, which is a bold conversation. We'll talk about paint schemes later. If you bleed in this, it's going to be really obvious. And,
absolutely.
and I think it was Dylan, our intern, I hope OSHA's not listening, just last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, cut his hand a little bit. Oh, Jordan did it too. And Kevin's, everyone's cut themselves on a server or a piece of equipment in here for some reason or another that really shouldn't be sharp. But like especially some of these edges, like that hold your fans in, and the drives on many other servers, those things are quick cut and they're not smooth. And you know, would I recommend someone buy a server only because it wouldn't make them bleed? Yeah, I mean maybe it's not a top 8 feature, but it's a huge differentiator when, especially with something like this, where people are going to tinker a lot and play around a lot and be inside this thing a lot. That's why it stood out as such an important thing to us anyway. But all right, so I appreciate you pausing and calling that out after we noted it. It's a great thing. So the conversation right before that was like, how did you get to the HL15? So maybe you can take that on and talk to us about why we're here with this.
Sure. Homelabs and geeks. I say me as a proudly being a geek.
Yeah.
I wish I had time at my age, 59 now, and 3 companies that rock and lots of stuff going on in my life. I wish I had more time to play with technology, and I got to do it vicariously, unfortunately. But we got a whole bunch of people in our company that, when they come to work, they do technology, and when they go home, they do it for recreation. And we early on when we first started in the first started 45Drives, as you know, a lot of video, a lot of YouTube video, and your audience would know. And we started to do that, and out of that, we got a lot of people who they liked our open approach. Our new enterprise. Let's get rid of this snobby crap. Let's be real about technology. Let's make great stuff, and look after people. So doing that, so we crossed over into that audience, and we had so many people over time who said, "Will you sell us one of your enterprise chassis? Will you, and can I buy one of them?"
Right.
And you go, anyway. So and why do they want it? It's the big, strong, fast thing. It's, I don't know. Why do you want it? I don't know. My son is a little bit of got a little touch of the redneck. I joke with him, and a half joke with him. And he loves the outdoors. He snowmobiles and stuff like that. We live in a relatively small, low population density, and so he drives a large diesel pickup truck.
Okay.
And I think that that's part of the attraction we did when we first started talking about the product. We said, we used the analogy. We said what we build in enterprise are the equivalent of 18-wheelers, and there's lots of people who are fans of machinery and look at an 18-wheeler, and I got a little bit of that in me. I look at them go by and. I got 600 horsepower turbo diesel and lots of chrome on it and all that horsepower and capacity. And they go, "Hey, that'd be cool. I'd like to own that." And then you go, "Yeah, but when I bring it home and the wife sees my Visa bill and when I turn on and the that beautiful redundant, 1700 watt power supply starts blasting, it's just not working." So and we said, how do we boil this down and how do we go? People are asking us for this. And both, for full build stuff, and also because we know, because it's us too, that there's people want to tinker, they want to build their own stuff, they got their own visions in their head, and you go, yeah, what can we do for them? And we've been talking about that for ages, and turning away this steady trickle of requests on it. We said, we put one more data point in this. We are excellent low volume, this high end enterprise. Very large data storage thing. It's not a high volume business.
Right.
Okay. And we looked at that. We know how to run a business and build products at a reasonable price. You can't build a budget price, but a reasonable price at very low volume. So we said, let's put something out. Let's build that product. in automobiles, you can get to work in a Kia, and it's probably much more sensible. My son wanted to buy his GMC pickup truck with 450 horsepower turbo diesel and 1,000 foot-pounds of torque. And does he really need that? No, but he likes it. So, do you really need, 1,180 megabytes a second, as one half of your HL15 in your Homelab? No, but, lots of people would like it. So he said, can we do a product? We said, yeah, well, let's put some energy into it. Let's see if we can do it. So that's where we went.
Well, you must have, I know the pre-order was wildly successful. I don't know what that means in terms of units built, but you must have built quite a few of these. Do you have is there any perspective there on this versus your enterprise business in terms of units? Is this a material thing for you? Is this a fun project for you guys? Like, how do you characterize this?
When we pre-ordered this thing, we looked at this and we said it's boutique, and I look at the comments, a lot of videos, and people say it's out of my affordability range. And I get it. We get who the Homelabs world is. Yeah. And a lot of young people in the Homelabs world, certainly not all, but it's young people, and you're early in your life, your financial means aren't necessarily there. So said, it's, at a, $5,000 machine is just not, people aren't putting their Homelabs. We get it down to 2,000. Bring it down, to where we can bring it down. And we know it's a MacBook Pro. Just for perspective, we look around at other products, and MacBook Pro, a lot of people buy MacBook Pros, but they buy it for style.
I've got one on the desk.
Yeah. They're good machines. They do great stuff, well engineered. They're beautiful. I would argue that actually, my own choices, I don't use them. I'm much more attracted to a little bit more utilitarian, sort of Kia type laptop, if I could say that.
I get it. You're more of a slide rule guy. I hear you.
Yeah, I'm more of a slide rule. But we said, can we get in that range? Let's see where we go. And our aspirations, if we had, when we did this, and we're entrepreneurial, we said we'll take a risk on this, we'll invest in it, lots of energy into it, and said, if we sold 250 of these in year one, we'd call it, say that's okay.
Okay.
And we would have, I don't have the numbers around or whatever, but we're way in excess of that in our pre-sale period.
Nice.
So I'm going, wow, this is, so we hit something. We're not intending to, we came into this, we said, this is not a product for everybody. It's a niche product. And, and what we want to do is fill a gap that, take that enterprise, take that power, simplicity, robustness, and along with the physical side of it, put that together, boil it down into Homelab, and build something that's big, strong, fast that you do crazy data rates out of. Load it up with all kinds of things from virtual machines to Plex servers to, whatever else you want to put on that.
Yeah, gaming
home automation on. And I think we hit it. I think we're there for a first product. We got lots more products coming out in this, given that we've got our uptake in that.
Yeah.
So we're very, very happy with the reception we got.
Great. Just a reminder to our Discord guys listening live, you can put your questions in the chat if you want to ask Doug anything or ask me anything too. I don't care. We'll happily put those questions up. I did pre-solicit some questions yesterday that came in. One of the first ones, Doug, was why bother offering a white and a black chassis? The effort to paint these things, wouldn't it have been easier just to make it black and move on? Why'd you even waste time injecting style into this thing?
So I'm thinking Henry Ford, you can have it any color you want.
As long as it's black, right?
As long as it's black. You know what? We asked around and we did a lot. We went outside. We asked Reddit and we asked people, people in our YouTube influencer world, whatever else, what they thought about it. And just people said, would it be nice? What would you think? And we could. So, we can customize because of our, look, if we're doing this way everybody else does and go off to an offshore shop and get somebody to make 10,000 of them, bring over a container load of them or a couple container loads of them, it's an issue. Our production techniques, our mass custom production techniques, it lends itself to doing that. And if anything, if people like the color is good, we'll come up with more. So we're able to do it. We thought we'd throw it out there, and it's been really interesting because there's been a pretty equal mix on them. So good. Well,
does it actually, while you were describing that, we got a question about specifically on the cost. Does the adding color and graphics to the front, does it make any much different? I mean, it obviously, to your point, if you outsourced them to Asia and bought 1,000 and brought them over, they would all be black and they'd all be cheaper. But I guess there's a question of what's the cost impact of the high quality paint and graphics here? Is it significant, not significant? I don't really have visibility into your production methods.
So if you manufacture in North America, if you're a first world manufacturer, your big cost is, what we bear is our labor costs are way higher. We're a big believer in paying fair wage to our people who work here. Yeah. And they're very much in with variable pay too, and they share in how we do as a company. And that's your biggest cost, is getting somebody. Just moving a part through a manufacturing station has a way higher cost. The impact of what you put on it, whether you put on garbage, cheapo powder coat, or whether you put on high quality powder coat, is secondary, in terms of a percentage. And you do the equation and say, we can't compete in cheap. You can't do it in North America. That's why everybody does it offshore. Not possible to do it. So we have to make it up by being good, by putting quality in it. I don't know another formula to really do it in North America other than get rid of all the people and put robots in there. And it's not our game. We're not into it. We're actually very much a people organization. So that's what we can do. So that's what we do. And I'm a big believer in free market. And when I say free market, I think it from the customer's choice first. That, people, we're just all better off when we have more choices in front of us. And and people are free to buy this, or they're free to buy inexpensive. And, what we want to do is something that fills a niche for certain people. And that is part of it. So that's very much part of it.
So you talked about cost, and this has been sort of a hot button. I'm sure you're well aware of this. And you addressed some of it in your prior conversation around, what is it? It's $2,000 for the chassis, the board, the power supply, fully burned in. All you need to bring are drives. Is that that's the highest end, right?
It's ballpark, yeah. It's a full build.
Yeah, whatever it is. But you've got at least two steps down from that, right? Where you can get it just the chassis, or just the chassis and the board. You've got some other options to provide some flexibility for people that want to get into this, but might want to tweak it one way or another.
Yep. Exactly. We look at that market. Again, we don't have to look very far. We just look inside our walls. We've got a bunch of people who are their hand goes up or their mouth opens every time we talk about this, and they got their own view.
Yeah.
And they, Homelab's cost-conscious world. Okay. Number one, it just is, and I think it's in this The marketing world says, when they analyze groups of people, they say the tech enthusiast, the very intelligent, technology-oriented human being, they tend to think that, things should all cost what the lowest mass-produced item costs.
Right.
And that's a feature of the marketplace, right? That's sort of a center of that. And so it's, that's in there. So, you kind of, putting a premium option in there is putting a premium option in there, and it's just, let's get that choice out there to people, and it's got to be real. So we put out a choice. The other feature, the place is going. The other feature of that group is they like technical control. I'm watching. I really enjoyed you guys. Good. You get it. Take her apart, reconfigure it. Right. That thing. That's what we like to do as technical people. We like to take control and do what we want. And for some people, it's full build because I want to take control of how I use it and go up a layer into software and function. Other people want to get down that hardware layer. So we looked at that and said, we've had so many requests for chassis, and people very much have their own idea of what they want to do.
Yeah.
Some people, and we're good. So we set that up as an option for them should they want to build direct wired, high speed, the elegant simplicity architecture server. That's what it is. That's what it's for. They're and we put that out, and it's been good. We I think we're probably full builds of our orders. 45% full builds.
Okay.
55% one of the other options. So, which is pretty cool. I love it. This is people that both have fun with technology, also drive the world forward, man. There's a lot of smart people, and a lot of these smart people go to work and move the technology world forward there. So they want to get out and tinker and get some of their creative energy out on it. I love it.
Well,
proud to be part of it.
Yeah, we have this debate every time a QNAP or Synology, whatever, comes into the lab. The first response is normally, can it play Crisis? And then after that, the response is, that's expensive, I could build it on my own. And in some cases with those prepackaged, in all cases with those prepackaged NASs, what you're really paying for is simplicity, right? And maybe feature set with some of the applications and stuff they have built into the OS. But buyers of those devices want to slot drives in, hit power, and go. They don't necessarily want to tinker, or if they do, it's more on the app side, and there's plenty of reasons why getting one of those is a great idea. This is different than that. This is, if you buy the whole system, this is drop your drives in and do whatever you want with it. And the roadmap is wide open. I assumed incorrectly that we'd be putting TrueNAS on this and using it pretty much as a straight NAS box, but the guys here, as you said, did something entirely different. That's also an option. The Homelab guys will also go buy a $300 server off eBay with a lot of age and wear and tear on it, and then go make that work and tinker and do things that way. There's a wide spectrum, I guess, is the point, and I hear you that you're trying to address a certain piece of the market with this solution while also offering other iterations without the board or whatever that people can pick up and go run with. And we actually did get some questions on the board. It's a Supermicro board X11, I think, on this thing. How did you end up on that as the right choice? Was it purely cost-based? Did you think about going with something more modern? Is it just a balance of cost and cores and clock and that kind of thing for this audience? Tell me about that.
Yeah, cost would be a big driver. We're looking at $2,000, and the volumes that this thing's going to be produced at, and and we put that together with the fact that our brand big, strong, fast, and we got to keep to that. So you need to get enough horsepower in there to number one thing it's got to be able to do, and it's one of the things we did. We put a little video, just hooking it up to one machine, a little video editing, and do a drag and drop. Good, see 1180 megabytes per second on a drag and drop transfer in Windows. Need to get enough board to be able to do that. And actually, Mitch Hall just telling me today he's playing around with multi-channel SMB, so he's got two lines in, and simple drag and drop in Windows, and he's at 1800 megabytes per second. So yeah, you need enough board to do that, right? And on top of that, we wanted to get enough horsepower in here such that somebody wants to put Proxmox on there, and then wants to run a Plex server at the same time and whatever else. We wanted to put enough in there so they could run all that stuff simultaneously. And we thought this was a compromise, and holding to that, our whole, line of inquiry, where's the price point? Good, we can put whatever you want on there. It's just you start moving up into server boards, and the price goes up, and people can do that on their own if they want to do that. They can build the architecture. They can figure out how to get the 15 drives plugged into it, and get it through the bus, and they can put in whatever they want, it's all there. Yeah, it was at a compromise. You don't have the price point thing sitting around, and we don't in enterprise. I mean, we sell some really cool stuff in enterprise. People get us to beef up things, and if you're a hot rodder, it's pretty cool. But we right now will leave people to do that on their own if they wish to put higher horsepower. And what's in there? Yeah, it'll move.
Oh, no, there's no doubt, yeah. But it sounds like one of your guiding principles in developing the HL15 was really holding the line at 2K on price point and not drifting above that. Is that accurate?
Well, that's, look, this first product out of the gate, we got a roadmap, going forward, and we said let's stay there. That's what people told us. Especially we did our little run at Reddit. Just gingerly stepped into the potential lion's den, and it was actually good. We very, very respectful reception that we got in there. We got a lot of very good feedback from people, and that $2,000 price point kept on coming up. So we said, yep, we hear you. We'll do our best on this product number one in here.
Well, I mean, you guys know in product development, there's no pleasing everyone. And in this market specifically, it's even harder. So look, I mean, like we said, eBay's there if you are on a strict budget, and $250 for an old Power Edge that you want to work on and hack around on. There's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, that's the beauty of Homelab. Every time we're doing a live or something and people are like, how do I get started? My advice is always to go on Newegg, Closeouts, or whatever the big retailer is in your region. Find one of those small form factor Optiplexes or whatever the HP version is, those little workstations that often come with a Windows license and a little SSD boot drive for like $130, $110. Buy one of those and start. And just do something. Install Proxmox, install Hyper-V, install ESXi, go put a NIC in it, go do something. But Homelab doesn't have to be expensive. I mean, this is just like your car analogy. Driving doesn't have to be expensive. Do you want something a little more fun for autocross? Yeah, I mean, that Kia may not be a blast, but they do have some other models that are quicker. But maybe you want a little GR86 from Toyota, still affordable and more fun. I mean, in my mind, that's really where I put this. This is a premium Homelab offering, in my opinion, and but it's at its core, it's a server, and it's really flexible, and you're giving your customers the ability to pick this up without having to get out the screwdriver much and wrench on it if they don't want to, and I think that's pretty fun. So I think there's a fair distinction there. There's plenty of swim lanes in the Homelab space, and it sounds like I'm sure you're not ready to divulge your roadmap now, but you're working on some other stuff that might be pretty cool. One of our favorite things here, I'll give you my pitch. One of our favorite things a couple years ago for the Homelab audiences, HPE's got this little ProLiant micro server. It's a little 4-bay SATA, 3.5-inch dude, Gen 10 Plus or Gen 10 anyway. Real little form factor. It's I don't even know what it goes for these days, $400 or $500. But again, a really nice progression up to, not everyone needs this or wants this or can fit it under their bed in their dorm room or whatever. So I do think a little tiny one that's even more aggressive on price point would be pretty fun. I'm sure you're considering something like that.
Well, you know what? Look, I'll tell you where we're going. You real rough. I'll sketch it out.
Okay.
You're going to see a thin client come out soon. And there's going to be an interesting form factor on it all. These thin clients coming out, it's not really any pull there. It's one of these things going to go up, and I don't know if anybody's going to want to buy one or not. It'll be a very nice single board Linux computer. I have one in my living room that we built because I wanted something for my network that sits underneath my TV. And so I got that, ultra dead quiet, fanless. Anyway, that's just a little aside.
Wait, so for fun, you just went and built a mini home theater PC terminal, basically?
That's basically it. And because I looked around and I thought there's stuff like that out there. There's plenty of them, but it's something that comes with I got Ubuntu on it, and the GUI and it's there and it's dead. I wanted something dead quiet and that looks good.
Yeah,
that sits in there. So we'll be following along that path on there, and the storage side of it, that's as I said, that's a little aside, and it's a very small project for us. You're going to see 4-drive and 8-drive spinner machine, and you're going to see a couple of SSD machines in the same size.
Nice.
And that's the majority of what you're going to see over the next little while.
Well,
price point, we're going to try to keep in there. The price point we have, right? One of the things, we look at, the price that we see for, say, a Synology, and they're sort of, you find your discount end of it that'll go lower than that, but they're pushing a couple $100 per drive bay on it.
Yeah.
The machine we have out right now is $133, if I do my math right, $140 per drive bay. And
that's because you don't that's because you saved all the money on caddies. You have the direct drop in. You got all that big caddy money you saved there. And actually, that was a design question. I don't mean to cut you off, but I guess I did. Your design is 3 fans in the front for the hard drives, 3 fans behind the hard drives, and it's a drop in from the top, loading mechanism, caddiless. It actually has a little friction kind of springy dude on there, so you can't drop the drive onto the backplane and break it, which is another pretty big deal from a design perspective. But why did you guys opt to go with that versus the more traditional front slot load caddy design for something like this?
Yeah, it's our server room heritage.
Okay.
You put out a 60 drive machine that's got 4 screws per caddy, 240 screws, and then your employer's got repetitive stress injury issues.
That's why when Kevin mounts hard drives and caddies, he usually uses 1 screw, and then he gets like the front right, and then just leaves it.
Oh, it's all you need. We hate that idea. It is a big waste of valuable human time. So that's our biggest reason for not doing that. And the other part, caddies accomplish this. That spring is there. Yes, so you don't drop it. It also controls vibration when it's in place. It self-induced vibration. And that whole issue, if you want to engineer a really, really robust storage server, get the power right, and get vibration looked after and get thermal looked after, we very careful, a lot of engineering time into those. We actually got a video Brett Kelly did a little while ago. We got another one coming out about how to handle hard drives. And there's a couple motions where if you just pick 2 hard drives up and click them together, you can damage that. There's a certain axis that they're extremely sensitive in, and it won't necessarily kill the thing, but what it'll do is it'll shorten its lifetime dramatically. So we set them up. That's why, because you don't want to drop it in and you don't want it vibrating. And handle them carefully, and they're the most incredible things. Don't handle them carefully, you get problems. So we've seen
plenty.
Loading.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of those that'll come in with a little dent in the case, and you don't think it's much, but it doesn't take much. They're precision instruments. I mean, inside there you got 10 platters spinning at 7,200 RPM, right, and little swing arms that have got to go out, and all the heads and everything. I mean, they're really remarkable inventions. And actually, the podcast that's out now, the one right before yours, with Seagate talking about HAMR and getting 50 terabyte hard drives. Again, similar design, but using the heat assisted to fire that little track up, write the data, and then instantly cool it off. I mean, the run. I posted a tape video on social yesterday. Tape's dead, hard drive's dead. Yeah. I mean, this stuff's going to be around for a very long time. There's nothing. Flash is great, and we talked about that, but there's nothing on a cost per terabyte basis that can beat this stuff for hundreds of use cases.
Yeah, and cost per terabyte, the other thing that, when we look at Flash, and we're fans, I mean, the right tool for the right job, sure. And Flash has its place. There's some workloads that Flash is awesome for, but there's other ones on a cost per terabyte, but also in lifetime. We're doing a little project that we'll share with you at some time where we're torture testing drives. We're just writing them fully and then erase them, writing them fully, erasing them. And it's a lifetime thing. And we said, well, let's just do consumer and enterprise. Then we threw Flash in there just for fun, knowing who's going to die first. And the Flash is not going to last. And in fact, they're now gone. They're essentially dead. They're like a drunken man wobbling all over the place right now, barely standing. And both the consumer and the enterprise are going like full blast, nothing. So if you ever write, it's got nothing to do with home usage because you just don't write that much data.
Right.
But when we get into our enterprise, a lot of professional workloads that are write heavy, yeah, you got to watch because you're going to be replacing your flash on a regular basis. And the worst part of replacing it is you kind of get to a period where it's starting to get fuzzy on you, and then it just bogs everything down, and you have to make that decision to pull them out, and the time to let everything readjust and rewrite your redundant data and everything else. And it's anyway.
You speak like a man you speak like a man who's had eye surgery before.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had LASIK.
Yep.
That was about what it was. It slowly gets foggy until you don't realize it. But then when you fix it, you're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea my vision was so poor. You talked about wobbly, and you talked a little bit about taking care of hard drives. We got a couple questions here about taking care of the system itself. How do you characterize support and warranty for something like this? And I guess specifically, there's a couple questions about if something happens, do I ship it back to you? Because I guess that's a plan, but it's sort of a drag when you get into heavier things like this that get expensive to move around the planet. But can you talk at all about warranty and support and what you guys are doing for that for the HL15?
So we know our warranty. We have an expected defect rate, and it's really low. Our experience in enterprise. I don't think Homelabs will be any different. People that know what they're doing. I don't think there'll be any big abuse-induced problem or anything like that. So here's how it will work, and it's very much it's different from enterprise business. Our promise to you, if you buy one of these things, you're going to get a working machine. It's going to be built to a very high standard, and the components will all work for you for the warranty period. If they don't, you got a hold of us at our email, our 45 Homelab support address, and somebody will get in touch with you from our service team. We will diagnose it together. We'll ask you to do a few things to figure out what's wrong, and we shall get new parts replaced. Sometimes they'll ask for them back. And if you wish to replace them yourself, if you want to get the parts, and most people prefer that because it's a quick FedEx run, and you can get up and going in a very short time. Most people in Homelabs, most of our enterprise customers do that too. Something goes, and they go, yeah, send us a new one and we'll plug it in. If you don't want to do that, good, you get it back and you get it here and back, and it'll go FedEx. It's on our nickel. So we owe you a working machine. We do not support application level in Homelab, and it's built into the price side of it. If you're enterprise, you pay for the support. They come pre-configured, but we don't directly support that. But we've set up our forums, and our forums. And what's been happening is we have an active community on there already, and there is mutual support in the community. Plus, we will be regularly, like daily, monitoring it from personnel in here. And adding what we can to it. So, one of the things that we can't support within the price point, not possible. Somebody does a home build and comes and says, I can't get my hard drive to show up in Linux on my home build, obviously. But come onto our forum and ask it in our forum because there's a community there. Yeah. And that's what's lovely about open source and Homelab and whatever else. We love that. So we set that forum up for all that application level stuff. Come on in there, post your stuff. We will be doing passes in there. We're not going to answer every question or anything like that. That's not possible, but where we can add or unstick something, we'll be in there. So.
Well, I would say on that note that as I'm sitting here looking at ours, the component count here is not high. I mean, you guys have put together a pretty simple board, and if I've got to get at these fans or need to remove, I mean, it's a couple screws. I mean, nothing in here is what I would call complicated. I've seen some of our PC builds that look much less tidy than this if you want to troubleshoot something. So yeah, I mean, I get your point and wanting to self-service it if you can. I think that's an interesting angle and probably will be a popular one. And of course, people are going to tinker with this on their own. They're going to take the fans out. They're going to put in whatever they want. We had a guy in the chat while we've been talking that wants to put a liquid loop in here so they can make this into a true gaming NAS. I don't subscribe to that idea. I think it's a terrible idea. Just because our guys did it doesn't mean it should be done. But we've got guys in here that want to run liquid loops and put a full GPU in here and do some crazy stuff. So They're saying it's a great idea. Damn it! This is the chat. Also in the chat, just so you know, you're getting a lot of support for the drop-in caddy-less design. The number of screws we've dropped around in here and that reside under the racks behind me, there must be thousands. A little screw army underneath the racks waiting to attack. But you know, I think it's pretty neat. And truth of the matter is even Homelabbers aren't swapping drives around all that much. So I don't know that it's a big ask to take the lid off. And one other thing that I liked about it, and this is so basic, but the little captive screws, 2 thumb captive screws on the front, it's just another thing where, you know, until you do it a lot and think about the value of some of these components, that this probably costs, I don't know, 6 cents or something, but a regular screw is half a penny. And so when you look at volume servers, a lot of them don't do that. But we've had problems where you drop a screw on the board and you don't know it's there. And you go to boot, and now all of a sudden you've got a fun electricity lesson. The more pieces that you can make captive or remove from the system, I'm all in favor of.
I've spent, thousands and thousands of hours building electronics, building boards from scratch, screwing stuff together, working on machinery, working on computers, and I've got the cuts from the jagged edges, and I've got the drop screws and the little funeral pyre of white smoke that resulted in, been there, done that. So that's part of why they're built that way. Myself and a bunch of other people, my business partner, that's our background, and try to inflict as little pain as possible.
Yes. Once you've been there, done that, you realize the pain, and watching your investment go up in smoke is not rewarding in any way. Yep. But yet it happens all the time. Well, I know we're a little over on time. We've done an hour, and I feel like you and I could probably just keep chatting about technology and hard drives and servers for another hour without much trouble. I don't know if anyone wants to listen to that, but if they do, we'll come back and do a follow-up one. For now, the website for people that want to learn more about the HL15, that's HLHomelab.com. Did I get that right?
Sorry, the HL15, 45Homelab.com.
45 Homelab. All right, 45Homelab.com. We'll link to that in the description here. Any last words of advice for anyone thinking about this? What's your last sales pitch?
Well, my sales pitch, I'm a believer in choice. Want to buy one of these things, premium hardware buy. We look after our customers, and we've done our darn just to build something that's worthwhile, not for everybody. If it's not right for you, good. We understand. If you want to buy it, come on in, join the community, and we'd love to have you. So, and that's it.
All right, awesome. I appreciate your time. These guys want us to do a giveaway, so we'll have to think about seeing if we can enable that on Discord. So think about that while you go back and report back to the crew how awesome this podcast was. But again, we thank you for your time. Really appreciate the insight and learning more about the background of 45Drives, everything that you've been involved in. And this thing's awesome. We're going to keep cranking on it and finish off our first review. We've got actually a couple other ideas for this thing. So you tease your roadmap, I'll tease mine, and we've got some more plans for you coming up. But again, thanks again, Doug. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Can't wait to see what you guys do with it. Looking forward to the next episode, and come visit us sometime.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
Cool, man. Thanks, Brian.